Maseches Bava Kama Daf and Gimel Amud Beis. And Gimel Amud Beis Bava Kama in the top of the page. So let's just give a small introduction. This Shiur is Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori Menachem Ben Akiva Le'ilu Nishmas Rus Bas Shalom Sora Bas Moishe Urafuas Kohen Choyle Israel ורפואס בנימין זאב בן מטל וסורך שאר חולי ישראל. So we said in the previous Amud we learned the sugya of the Eidim Zomimim. We spoke about the fact that according to Abaye, which we paskin like, we say that they works retroactively. Very good. Eidzomim lemafreya hu nifsal. Eidzomim works retroactively, which means that from the time of the first eidus that in which they were found at fault, they're already called posul. Then we say that according to Abaye, what's going to be the case? That was actually machloikes tanoim, which we explain according to Abaye. What would be if two eidus were mentioned one after the other? Let's say the eidim said we saw so and so stealing, and then right away, right after that, toch, kedei, dibbur, within a very small period of time, which we're going to discuss today, they also said another eidus they gave, and that is the eidus of that he slaughtered or sold on. So then the question was, do we go by the second eidus only, by the second eidus which is slaughtering, right? And therefore, yeah, that's one way to look at it. And now they're possible regarding that, but they still believed regarding the theft. Yeah, it's two separate eidus. Or do we say no? Or do we say, Rabbi Yossi says, toch kedei dibbur kedibbur dami. Rabbi Yossi says, toch kedei dibbur, because the two eidus were very, very close together in time, toch kedei dibbur is like one long dibbur, it's one long statement. So if you disqualified the second statement, Mimela, you also disqualify the first one. They're really all one thing. It's all one thing, all one thing. And therefore, the entire eidus for both the shchita and the gneva itself is muzam, and they have to pay him the 4 or 5 entire thing. Okay? Fact the Gemara. Now, the Gemara explained why. Because Rabbi Yossi is the one who believes toch kedei dibbur kedibbur dami. Well, Rabbanon don't. Rabbanon don't believe in toch kedei dibbur. Interesting. Rabbanon say no, toch kedei dibbur is not kedibbur. Once you stopped even for 2 seconds, and you have two separate eidus, one and then the other, and it's officially considered as two separate eidus for whichever reason, then we say one eidus was disqualified, the first one was not. That was before they were even possible. Even according to Abai, that's like prehistory. Says the Gemara, frek the Gemara, is that so? Does Rabbi Yossi think that toch kedei dibbur is like dibbur? Does Rabbi Yossi say that if one said something and then right after that he said something else, then toch kedei dibbur dam, it's all considered as one thing? I'll show you. Otherwise, Rabbi Yossi toch kedei dibbur kedibbur dami, frek the Gemara v'atnan. I'll show you a Mishnah from Maseches Tmura. Tmura is a Masechet in Kochim. Tmura deals with a person who was memir. Lehamir here means to actually transfer the kedusha from an animal that is kodesh to an animal that's not kodesh. Really, you can't transfer. In other words, you cannot actually redeem one from the other as long as the first animal is the kodesh animal is intact and suitable for korban. The kedusha will not leave it. Yeah. So really, what's going to happen is both the old one and the new one will be kodesh. Won't be redeemed. It will be this and that, and it's also to do it. Yeah, lo Yomi. It says not to do it, but if you did it, it works. Okay, that's just general knowledge about Tmura. And what does it say about Tmura? Says the Mishnah over there, quoted over here. We are in the third line of Ayin Gimel Amud Beis. I'm sorry we don't have the Gemara in the screen. We don't have Zoom. But now, thank you to Moshe for giving me the idea of recording this way. But now, Areza Tmuras Oila, Tmuras Shlomim. A person had two animals in front of him. One of them was Oila, the other one was the Shlomim. Oila goes all to Hashem, it's kochim, and Shlomim is something which is kochim kalim, and Shlomim is also eaten to the Bailim, to the Koyanim. Very, very, very different types of korbanos. Yeah, a korban cannot be both Oila and Shlomim. There's no such thing in the world. Yeah, it can't be both this and that. No way. They are as far apart from each other as can be. Now that person, the Chacham, what did he do? He has two animals in front of him, and he says on the third animal, who is a regular chulin animal, secular so to speak, he says, this is the Tmur of Oila, Tmurot Shlomim. He's contradicting himself. What's going on here? He's talking nonsense. Says Tanakama, which is Rabbi Meir, Areizo Tmuras Oilo Divrei Rabbi Meir. Says Rabbi Meir, we go by the first Loshon. In other words, if you say that this is Tmuras Oilo, and then you said Shlomim, we assume you said Oilo, then you regretted and you said Shlomim, too late. Once you said it's Oilo, right? You didn't say V. Is it Tmuras Oilo? Okay, we got you. Chapped you, got you there. It's Tmuras Oilo. Afterwards you said Shlomim, see spät, too late. Nothing for you. Yeah, there's no solution. That's Rabbi Meir. Very simple. Rabbi Meir doesn't believe, by the way, one second, Rabbi Meir doesn't believe that there's a way to reconcile the two. There's like, that's it. You said one, you put your foot into it, you're caught there. That's Rabbi Meir. What? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The third one is the star of the show. He's the one you're trying to get the kedusha on. Okay? Yeah. The star of the show is the one animal which is not Kodesh at all. It's a regular sheep or something, chulin, and you're trying to sort of apply to it different kedushas. First one, first served. That's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer, no. Rabbi Yossi says depends. Im lekach niskaven mitchila, if he can somehow prove that he wanted to apply both kedushas to the one animal, let's say that was the case, since you cannot, he wants to say, I would apply both. He's not exactly the smartest, the sharpest pencil in the thing, if he wants to apply both kedushas, but if he can prove to us that his kavanah wasn't and then he didn't say oilo and then regretted to shlomim. If we can prove somehow that he did mean to have both kedushas, dvarav kayomin, then we apply his words. And yes, they're both oilo and shlomim. What do you mean both oilo and shlomim? Says Rashi, you know what you're going to do? You're going to actually sell this animal, yeah? You're going to wait until this animal will have mum, the new one, the new star. You're going to wait until it actually has tirachet istoev, until it gets some kind of blemish. You can see Rashi, Dvav Kayomin is Rashi in the third or fourth narrow line. The tirachet istoev. You're going to just let this animal, which has both kedushas, wow, let it actually have a blemish naturally. You're not allowed to cause it a blemish. V'timocher, sell it. V'yovi b'dmei chetzia oil b'dmei chetzia shlomim. Sell the animal once you redeem the kedusha of the secular one, which now became half-half, and then with half the money you'll buy oila and bring it to Beis Hamikdash, and half the money you'll bring shlomim and bring it to Beis Hamikdash. That's the way. So there's a mixture which is funny, but according to Rabbi Yossi, it works. Okay, if you can prove that he really meant both, so both kedushas are kilu in a funny kind of salad inside that, in a mixture, and then the kedusha is redeemed half for oil, half for shlomim. The im Oma continues Rabbi Yossi, and that's a punchline. The im Oma tmuras oilo, v'nimlach v'oma tmuras shlomim. However, he agrees to who? To Rabbi Meir. If he said oilo and then he regretted, and you can see or feel or prove that it's nimlach. What's nimlach? That he regretted, changed his mind, and then he said shlomim. He said shlomim, no oilo, shlomim. Areizu tmuras oilo. So he said no, it's oilo. He said shlomim, and then oilo. Says Rabbi Yossi, we catch you on the first word, as we say in Hebrew. We catch you. In other words, we apply the first statement. That's it. You caught with the first one. So on this lemaisa, both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi agree that if it's a matter of regretting, saying X and then Y, X wins. First comes, first served. Priority. That's what they really both believe. The argument is, do you believe this mixture business, which Rabbi Meir doesn't? At the end of the day, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir both agree that if I said X and then I said Y, we go by X. We had a question. Nimlach, Shita. Nimlach, of course. If he regretted, if somebody says, Harat Mukudeshesli to a woman, you're my wife, And then 2 hours later, he says, "No, I regret. There's no such things." Yeah, and because she's your wife. If a person said, "This is oilo," and then half an hour later, he comes and said, "No, it's actually shlomim." What are you, 5 years old in the gun? Of course, that the first statement is the one. What's the question? It's a pshita. Needless to say, why do Rabbi Yossi have to spend words to tell me that? Rama Rav Pope, says Rav Pope, and here we come to the real punchline. Says Rav Pope, Nimlach toch kedei dibbur kamrinan. Ay 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 ay. Papa. Says Rav Pope, there is a chiddush. Because he said oilo, and within kedei dibbur, within a few seconds, he right away said shlomim, and usually we say toch kedei dibbur, you can regret your statement. Says Rabbi Yossi, you cannot regret your statement, which means Rabbi Yossi does not believe in toch kedei dibbur. Rabbi Yossi does not believe the toch kedei dibbur works. You cannot change your words. Yeah, the English, the British states a lady is privileged to change her mind. Apparently, well, not a man or a lady. None of them can. Yeah, if you said even toch kedei dibbur, which is a statement, which is by the way the halacha, which we all know does apply. You tell me halacha l'maisa. You're religious, very good. So trying to be. So you tell me it's raining outside. Let's say you said Mashav Rocha Geshem, and half a second later you corrected yourself and said Moed Datal. Works? Yes, very good. Yeah, it does. It does. Why? Toch kedei dibbur in halacha, all over halacha, and we'll see it later in Tosfos. We say toch kedei dibbur works even in eidus in Beis Din. If I said he murdered and I right away said no, he didn't, straight after that, straight away, then we say he didn't murder. Yeah, we accept the regret, the change of mind, if it's quick enough. And here, Rabbi Yossi is the one which we claimed is one who holds yes, toch kedei dibbur works, and he would say it looks like it doesn't work. But the oilo, shomim. You said, You said oila, you caught. You can't change it even half a second later. So what do you see? So you see Rabbi Yossi contradicts himself by us regarding the eidus of stealing and then shechting. We say he believes in toch kedei dibbur, and he says it's all one eidus. And here, with the case of the korban, he says that it doesn't work. What's the difference? Amri. Both doraisa, both doraisa. That's an eidus doraisa about stealing, and then no, but you see here at least in the Gemara that it's both doraisa. So I hear what you're saying, but apparently here it's the same level. Eidus and kochim of mizbech are both doraisa, and yet we see a stira. Amri, they give another answer. The Bnei Shiva said, "Toch kedei dibbur havi." Yeah, Amri toch kedei dibbur trei toch kedei dibbur havi. There are two levels within toch kedei dibbur. Interesting. There are two levels of toch kedei dibbur. Chad, one toch kedei dibbur is kedei she'elas talmid lerav. The amount of time it takes for a talmid, for a student, to ask a question to the Rav, not a question, but to say hello. The sh'ol is to request his attention and say hello. The talmid says hello to the Rav. Is talmid to the Rav says Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori. Forward, Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori. It doesn't take long to say it, but it's longer. The chad, the other kind of toch kedei dibbur, kedei she'elas harav letalmid. When the Rav talks to the Talmid, when the master talks to the student, he doesn't say to him, Shalom Aleichem Talmidi Hayoko. He just says, Shalom Aleichem. That's two, half. Not Shalom Aleichem Rabi UMori, Shalom Aleichem. Some people say Shalom Aleichem Rabi without Moiri. Let's go the more makel opinion. Shalom Aleichem Rabi UMori, 4 words, not much. The other opinion is even shorter, is Shalom Aleichem. That's it. 2, half of that. What does it have to do with our case? Explains the Gemara. What Rabbi Yossi does not hold is she'elas talmid lerav, Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori de nafish. In other words, what Rabbi Yossi does not believe in is Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori. That's too long. Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori nafish. Nafish means it's a lot. It's too much. In other words, Rabbi Yossi says you can change your mind, but only the two words, only within 2 words. But the amount of time it takes to say the 4 words, that's too long already to change your mind, doesn't apply. I'll just finish off. Kedei she'elas harav letalmid Shalom Alecha. When a Rav talks to the Talmid, doesn't give him all these eulogies. All he says, what? Is Shalom Alecha. Islay. That Islay, he holds, he has. Rabbi Yossi says, yes, which means Rabbi Yossi believes that when Rabbi Yossi does not contradict himself, Rabbi Yossi, when it comes to Eidim, to the eidus of what? Of he stole and then he shechted. Says Rabbi Yossi, Shalom Aleicha, that works. If within, they didn't say Shalom Aleichem, yeah? But if the stopping gap, the space of time, period of time, the lapse of time between one eidus and the other was enough to say Shalom Aleicha, I think that's a second, so then they can regret. But if they said Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori, maybe 2 seconds, too late already. So that's very, very funny what came out here, and I'm very happy that Tosfos asked the question, which also bothered me. Tosfos, we're not going to see it inside. Mhm. Yeah, so again, let's repeat. When we spoke about the eidus, when two eidim are testifying and saying that so-and-so stole and he shechted, so then if the period of time between the two statements was short enough to say Shalom Alecha, less than Shalom Aleichem, that's it, then considered as one eidus, and if part of the eidus was off the mark, out of the radar, was disqualified, so is the other. That's Rabbi Yossi over there. Rabbi Yossi, however, says Rabbi Yossi in the case of Shlomim and Oilo, there he waited too long. He waited too long. He said, this is Oilo, Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori. Enough time passed, there are 4 words to be said, that's like 2 seconds. And then he said, Shlomim, too late, too late. That's all. It's about how close in time, how short the period of time is. Then you can regret or join the 2 statements together, and there it's considered already as too late. Too much time passed if you said if there's enough time, not if you said it, to say the 4 words. Mimela, Tosa says it's not la locha. Both Rabbanon, who seem b'chlal not to believe in toch kedei dibbur, and Rabbi Yossi that's very mitzumtzam and only believes in Shalom Aleichem, not Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori, they're not la locha. They're not la locha. This entire Amud is not la locha. Alocha l'maisa, and this applies to us regarding davening. That's very nogea la locha. We said the kela kodesh, amen lecha kodesh. The 10 days of atonement, the high holidays. Yeah, happens to you. Baruch Hashem, kela kodesh, amen lecha kodesh. So if the amount of time that passed between a kela kodesh and amen lecha kodesh was less than 4 words, Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori, then we say you can still regret and you don't have to go to the beginning. If that amount of time passed already, an amount of time which you can say Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori, that those, let's say 2 seconds already are gone, and then you said, Amen lecha kodesh, too late. And it's not like Rabbi Yossi and not like Rabbanon. How could that be? Says we have other sources. We have in Shavuos, Daf Lamed Beis, other Tanoim, other sources, and they argue on both Rabbi Yossi and Chachamim, and they say you can have Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori amount of time to still pick up your mind, also regarding eidus in Beis Din, which is very, very severe. There's a fascinating idea in Tosfos, which I found fascinating because all my life since I was little, I always knew about the toch kedei dibbur, and I never knew why are the words, that imaginary words you say in your mind, Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori, why is that the amount of time that it takes to change your mind or change your tefillah or change your eidus? Says Tosfos, this I would read inside, it's just too delicious to miss. It's in the middle of Tosfos Ki. The first Tosfos in the white lines is Tosfos Ki. Let's keep the beginning of Tosfos. And Tosfos says, "V'shiur kedei she'elas shalom." Line starts with the word she'elas. In the middle of Tosfos. Talmid l'Rav. Why is the shiur? I mean, I can understand a person is allowed to regret what he said if it's quick enough. But why is it Shalom Aleicha Rabi UMori? Why not Mary had a little lamb? Why not I don't know what Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu? Why dafka? Yeah, why these words? The reason is that the kshaoda made eidus, when a person is made eidus in Beis Din, or oisek b'mekach umemkar, or is in the middle of doing a business deal, which there also kedei toch kedei dibbur applies, because maybe I'm making a business transaction, I'm changing my mind. Let's say his friend or his rabbi says hello to him. Wow, that person in the middle of eidus, in the middle of the business transaction, you're supposed to stop what you do and answer your friend that says hello to you. It says in brachos, if somebody says hello to his friend The ein machzir, and his friend does not reply. What? Very good. Nikra Gazlan. He's called a Gazlan. Wow. Shnema gzelos ein bevatechem. Velekach tiknu chachomim. Shelo yeh zechoshu ve'efsek. Wow. Chachomim made it a kono in order to enable you to answer to your friend, kol sheken to your Rebbe, in the middle of your very important eidus or business, because otherwise you're ganev. Mimela, they allowed that amount of time to regret. Of course, the regretting is to do stam with human psychology. That's another whole story. Why Bichlal we allow the person to regret? We can say Balabatish, a person is not an angel, not a robot. Even robots make mistakes, yeah. Mimela, we allow you to change your mind. But the amount of time is the amount of time you're allowed to have to say hello to him, back to him, and then quickly go back to your eidus. Yeah? Mimela, that's the amount of time. Unbelievable. Let's go back to the Gemara. We're in the two dots. Two dots zehut. Oh, here we have a very, very Yishmakia story over here. Omar Rove. The line starts with the word Islay, Bava Kama, Daf Ein Gimel Amud Beis. Islay. Two dots. Omar Rove. Before we start, let me ask you a question based on what you've been learning in the past few days. Let's say, as we said last week, let's say an aid was found out to be faulty, whatever, wrong aid, disqualified. Okay. What? Yeah, on Sunday, let's say. And afterwards, he was muzam. Afterwards, the aid was, people came and said, Emmanuel Isa, you, Mr. Disqualified, he's already been disqualified. No, not about Rov now. No, nothing to do with that. Bichlal, in general. A person was disqualified for whichever reason. He's a gazlan. He's a gambler. He's a thief. He's soicher and shvis. And then, so Bezin said, the guy's a shmata anyways, whatever, no get to us. And then somebody comes and says, oh, you were with me in Haifa. You said you were in Beit Shemesh. You said that so-and-so stole in Beit Shemesh last Sunday. You were with me last Sunday in Kinar, in a retreat with rabbis. So then, would you do anything to the guy? But why? He's been disqualified already. Before that, hazama only makes a difference when I really believed him. I was about to really execute whatever, to carry out the din, and then it didn't. Then came the guy and said it was in Tveria. We said, we are about to really believe that guy. Now we're going to do hazama. You're going to pay everything because your eidus was believed until Mr. and so came and said you're with him and he was mazim you. Very good. If you don't believe him at all, it's a non-starter. That's what they said up until now. Now we're going to again make an exception to that rule. Let's say there are two Eidim who are mukchasha. This is something which I told you. Moshe sent me a very nice email about the Shiur and a reply to you. You have to know something about hazama before we continue. There are two different types of eidus that are disqualified. I'm using the English word disqualified because there's no real English words for hazama specifically. And don't tell me elibat. It's nothing to do with elibat. Yeah, there's hak'chasha and there's hazama. Hak'chasha means two Eidim come and they say, on Sunday, so-and-so borrowed money from Reuven. Then two other Eidim come, Levi and Yehuda, they come and say, no, we were with him the whole day. With who? With the one that you said borrowed money in Bet Shemesh. We were not with you, the Eidim. We were with Reuven. You claim Reuven borrowed money. We were with Reuven the whole day, non-stop. We guarded him all the time. We were his guards. And we saw that he did not borrow money. So they're not saying Imanu Ha'isem. They're not saying to the Eidim, you were with us, the Eidim. They both argue, did he borrow or did he not borrow? Who's believed more? It's a tie. 0-0. We're all our soccer fans. Because why should you believe the second more than the first? As we said, it's Xeris HaKosuv. Xeris HaKosuv is only by hazama. Hak'chasha, no Xeris HaKosuv. The first two Eidim say he borrowed, the other two say, no, he didn't borrow. I'm a dying, I don't know what to do. 2-2? 2-2. The two say they got married. Anything you want. He murdered, married, divorced, lent, borrowed, jumped on the moon, B'chal Shabbos. Whatever you want. Two say he did it, and two say he didn't. They're not talking about each other. If you guys are nice, or you guys were with us in Kinar, you guys were with us in Bar Park. The issue is, they're arguing, did he do it, or did he not do it? These are 2-2. So then, I don't know what to believe. Both of them are besophic liars. We don't know if they're liars, but somebody here is a liar. And until we get to the last page of the whodunit, until I find out, we have two against two. And eidus is a very strong thing. And I grilled them both like the best of the, I don't know, of the FBI. And yet, they both seem to be very liable. So that's called hak'chasha, denial. They're denying each other. They're contradicting each other. So they're both sophic liars, doubt. And what do? I leave things as they are. I can't be mechayevim to pay. I can't kill him. I can't say that he's married. It's like in a limbo, in a doubt. And that's called a chosha. Okay? Fine. So these are Reuven and Shimon against Levi and Yehuda. Reuven and Shimon said, let's say, stole, in our case. And Levi and Yehuda say, no, he did not steal. We were with him the whole day. Or we know the story from a different aspect. No, he didn't steal. Only by hazama, Moshe. By hazama, there's a special exersa kosuv. It's exersa kosuv. If two people say he's stolen the chemish, and the two others say we don't know anything about him or his sheep or his cow, we know that you guys were with us in Tveria, then we believe the second ones. That's exersa kosuv. By hazama, only by hazama. Says the Gemara now, Omar Rove, Edim sheukchashu. Let's say Edim or mukchash. Mukchash means Edim, the Reuven and Shimon were denied, were contradicted by Levi and Yehuda, the other two. It's a standstill. Ulabasoif huzmu. And afterwards, though, the same Reuven and Shimon, afterwards came a third set of Edim, Binyamin and Yosef, Yosef and Binyamin, and they said, yeah, those Reuven and Shimon, they were with us in Haifa. Yeah? So Reuven and Shimon have two strikes against them. Reuven and Shimon have Levi and Yehuda saying the whole thing's wrong. I don't know where you guys were, but we saw Shalom Aleicha. He didn't steal, he didn't kill, he didn't break Shabbos. He was with us in Shul. He has an alibi. Yeah? So we don't know what to do. Reuven and Shimon are Sophic liars, and Levi and Yehuda are also Sophic liars. I don't know. But then came Binyamin and Yosef said, Reuven and Shimon, they were with us that entire Shabbos. Yeah, they were with us the entire Shabbos in Kina'or. And therefore, what do we say? Nerogin. We say Reuven and Shimon get killed. We kill Reuven and Shimon, and we believe the hazama. Why? What's the chiddush? One could argue and say, hey, wait a minute. Reuven and Shimon's eidus was anyway frozen, was anyhow in a tie. We anyhow didn't believe Reuven and Shimon, right? Because Levi and Yehuda already contradicted them, right? So we anyhow didn't go along with it. So maybe the hazama of Binyamin and Yosef is irrelevant, because Reuven and Shimon already are like in a freezer. They're not really believed anyways, and that could stay like that forever and ever. So since we anyhow didn't believe Reuven and Shimon, we didn't know that they're wrong, but we didn't know they're right. We're like, stand still. So maybe Binyamin and Yosef don't make any difference. Says the Gemara, no, it does make a difference. You know why? And we do kill Reuven and Shimon, and we do go along with the hazama of Binyamin and Yosef. You know why? The hak'chasha tchilas hazama hak'chasha is like the beginning of hazama. We now look back retroactively, and we say hak'chasha, when Reuven and Shimon's eidus was in doubt, the sprouts of doubt started, the buds of doubt, and that's the beginning of the hazama. Ela shaloi nigmero. The hazama never actually finished until it came to a makeh b'patish, to a crescendo at the end of the story when they were muzam. Get it? We don't look at it as two separate things. 1 second, let me define it and then I'll hear you. I promise I'll listen to you. In other words, we don't say there was a kosher, finished, case closed. You all talk nonsense, a kosher gemarnu. Finished. We don't listen to Reuven and Shimon, and then came a whole new thing, hazama, and we say, who cares about the hazama? Reuven and Shimon are out of the stage already long ago. We say, no, we don't say that. We look at it as one continuous thing. We say Reuven and Shimon's eidus was already questioned. Now that the hazama came, and the Torah told me, yes, to listen to the hazama finishes off with hak'chasha started. Because hak'chasha really wasn't a final din. Hak'chasha was a matter of not knowing. Now we know through a third party that the second Edim were right. Yeah? Now we know, yeah? Get me? That the second Edim were right, and really the first ones are really taka liars. Good, so what are you asking? That's what Rava says. And here Allah is like Rava. Good old Rava. Not like before. How do I know? How do I know that? So now he's going to bring a brisa from a case of Shen the Ein. In the good old days when there was Eved Knaini, One of the ways for an Eved Knaini to go free, scot-free, is that it says in the Torah, in Shein Avdoi, Ein Avdoi Yapil. If the person pokes out, Chas Shalom, the eye of his Eved Knaini, or actually breaks his tooth, so one eye is off, or one tooth, obviously not the same, yeah? Or says the Gemara in Kiddushin, any other 24, one of the 24 limbs that are the extremities of the body, the 20 fingers and toes, yeah, the nose, the ears, by a man, one organ, by women, organ, chule. The kids are, if he cuts a finger, nose, ear, v'chule, I won't show it on myself, yeah. So then we say the Eved Knani goes free. Okay, fine. The Tanya says the Brisa, Meidani, or actually the right version says it says Meidanu. We are made. We the Edim hereby testify. The Ish Ploini. By the way, this Brisa at the beginning is very hard to read, just in the grammar, but the Gemara will set it up for us. Ish Ploini shesime sein avdoi. We testify the Mr. so and so blinded the eye of his Eved, and then vehipilas shinoi, and then he broke his tooth. He made his tooth fall. Yeah, he pulled out his tooth. Now you tell me, my friends, you tell me, Moshe. Does the master owe any money to the slave? Very good, sharp. What a quick draw. Why? When once he did the eye, so now the Eved doesn't get the money of the eye, but the Eved gets his freedom. Wow, that's fun. So once he poked out his eye, and then he's a free man. Now he's a free Jew, just like you, mister. Equality, justice for all. Now, the tooth, when he made his tooth fall, now he owes him the tooth, just like you break the tooth of any other free man. Now continues the Brisa, Sha'arav oimer ken. The Rav, meaning the master, would like to support this version. The question is why. The master, would like the Eidim to say that. We don't know why. Yeah? But Imtzu Zoimimin, ay. Now came out that those Eidim are Zoimimin. They're liars all the way through. Mishalmi Dmei Ayin le'eved. So they have to pay the eye to the Eved. What's going on over here? Why? If they're Zoimimim, I would say they have to pay the entire Eved to the master, right? If they're Zoimimim, they're liars. So really the one that made lose is the master. This brisa does make sense because of three reasons. The Gemara is going to elaborate those on that, yeah? And then the Gemara is going to reread the brisa beautifully, and that will be a proof for over. Echidami, what's the story over here? Echidami. If you read the brisa as it's written, as is, without fixing up the brisa a bit, that there's no other group of Eidim, just one group of Eidim that said that he poked out his eye, and then the tooth. If that's a story, then a lot of things here don't make sense. What? They pay the eye to the Eved? Shlumi, they took him to freedom. They made him free. According to their false eidus, he should be happy. We didn't make you lose your eye. We made you, if anything, what? A free man. So who has to pay him the eye, first of all? The oid, dmei kula eved lerav ba'il shlumi. Second question, which I also asked you before, the real wrong thing they did was they actually have to pay the entire worth of the eved to the rav, to the master, because they wanted the master to free his slave and was a lie. Maybe there were people pro-slave and they're so pro-freedom, I mean to say, up to the point with a lie. But they made the master lose his eved. The oid, third question, Sha'arei Rav oimer ken, you're telling me the Rav would like to support their version? What? Harav minichalei, the master wants his slave to go free? Who's going to wash the floor tomorrow? Erev Pesach. But some people, they start preparing for Pesach. Tu Bishvat. Tomorrow. What's going on here? My Eved's going. Chas v'shalom. Elalav must be, there's a missing link here in the Brisa. Something in the Brisa is missing. Kigon de osu beitrei. The story is as follows. The Brisa only told me half the story. Two people came. The Amri, the first group of people said, Ipil is sheinoi, simes einoi. There was one group of Eidim who said, what the master did? The master lost it. The master for sure was violent. You know what he did first? He pulled out his tooth. And then, afterwards, he blinded his eye. According to their version, like Moshe said very correctly, the first item, the first organ he made him lose, he became a free man. That's a tooth in this case. And now he has to pay him the eye, because when he poked his eye, he was already a free man. That could be 2 seconds later. But you're poking the eye of a free man, you have to pay him an eye. You know how much an eye is worth? Whoa, millions. The also Beitrei Mitzioi. Then came the middle group of Eidim. Yeah, came a second group. The Amri Eino Vadal Shinoi. They said yes, he was crazy. He hit his eye and his tooth, but in that order. They're just arguing about the order. They said first he hit his eye and then he hit his tooth. Whoa, that's a big difference. So let's recap everything. What's the story over here? Everyone agrees that the Eved is free or is enslaved, the Rabbi side. Free. The question is, what happened first, what happened second? So the question is, does the master have to pay him his tooth or his eye? Oh, that's a big difference in money. Yeah, a visit with a dentist to get a false tooth cost, an eye is irreparable, and you have to pay him the difference he has in the marketplace. A person has one eye, a person has two eyes, is a huge difference. The money is the sum is much higher when it comes to an eye. The first ones and the middle ones are not zoymimim, they're makrish. We don't know who to believe, right? We don't know if he has to pay him the eye or the tooth. I don't know what to believe over here. V'hainu, and that, by the way, says the Gemara, that explains also Sharav Oimer Ken. That's why it says the Rav supports their version. The Nichal b'madika amri. Of course, he likes the version of who? Of the one who said that he poked the eye first and then the tooth, because he only has to pay the tooth. The version who says it was first the tooth and then the eye, he has to pay the eye. He doesn't like that version. Diktani. Now, what happens? The middle people are Zomimim. The middle people who says Einoi Vadal Shinoi. So now those middle people, Mitzioi Mishalmi Dmei Ein Le'eved. Those middle people, they have to now pay what? To pay the eye to the Eved. That makes a lot of sense, right? When you said that first, right? The discussion is, would the Eved get his eye or his tooth? And now you guys, because of your lie, as you are Zoimimim, really you have to pay what you want to make him lose, which is the eye, the money of the eye. Wait a second. They're already mukhash. If the mukhash already, why do Bichlal listen to them? Both sets of Eidim are in a standstill. They're in the freezer. Nobody listens to them. So why do Bichlal have to afterwards not play? Why do you have to Bichlal give attention to the hazama? Very good. Says Rav, you see my sources right. When the Eidim who wanted to make the Eved lose the money, the compensation money for his eye, they were already mukhash, because other people said no. First it was the eye, then first was the tooth, then the eye. No, he owes him an eye, not a tooth. So we don't know what to do. Hak'chasha means teku. You know what's teku in modern Hebrew? Time. We don't know what to do. He says tooth. I don't know. We don't listen to anybody. And yet, when the other set of Eidim, the third one comes, and the Mazim, the ones who want to say that he owes him a tooth, yeah, there was a tooth of a second, aye. So we say, you are Mazimim, you are Muzam, you now have to pay him the eye. So you see that the hak'chasha started the hazama. Hak'chasha and hazama are not two separate things with a wall between them, dichotomy. No. You have the eye, and then you have the hak'chasha, which develops into hazama. We didn't know if you're lying, now we know you're lying. We had our doubts about you, now we know for sure you're wrong, and Mimela, now you have to pay everything. Good? We're before time, but we'll stop here. I didn't prepare any further, and also it's not ideal, the situation where people can see me. So, Be'ezras Hashem, hopefully tomorrow, I'll bring a backup. I'll bring, besides the stick, I'll bring another device, and Hashem Yazo, everything should be mistader. I'm so sorry to the people at home. Hopefully I'll send you the bill. Joking. I'll send you the recording later on. Bye, call to. See you.